Alright, it's time to finish the story. See how this ends. Progress 5, so let's get right into it. What? Heart of Crystal? That's my Enya. Okay, okay. As I reached the city center, even the thick fog couldn't hide the chaos. No, chaos didn't even begin to describe it. It was as if the entire world were tearing itself apart. Buildings lay snapped in half, their shattered remains sprawled across the streets. Overpasses and roadways hadn't been spared either, reduced to a labyrinth of craters and gaping voids. As I moved forward, things only grew stranger. The city continued to crumble before my eyes, buildings collapsing without warning, yet I couldn't see what was attacking them. It was as if an unseen force from another dimension was striking them, splitting them open. The destruction significantly slowed me down, forcing me to weave through falling debris and shifting rubble to find a path forward. The only silver lining was that, for some reason, these mysterious attacks seemed to avoid me. Whether that was good news or something far more concerning, I wasn't sure. More than once, I was standing in the exact spot as a building when it was hit. Yet the impact miraculously missed me. Instead of dodging unseen attacks, I only had to deal with the aftermath of their destruction. On the other hand, I was almost certain these attacks on the city had something to do with Enya. I had no choice but to quicken my pace. I activated a layer of my Tychogen armor to shield myself from extensive harm as I navigated the collapsing buildings. I had no sense of time, but when I finally reached the city center, everything had changed. The fog had lifted. The city center, once surrounded by towering structures, was now an immense, open expanse encircled by the wreckage of countless fallen buildings. The skyline had vanished. The craters had smoothed over, leaving behind a vast, gray-white surface, a perfect ring-shaped field. I stood atop the ruins of the perimeter, feeling the tremors beneath me, sensing the force radiating from the center. It pulsed like a heartbeat, sending steady waves outward, each one rippling through the ground with violent intensity. I could see it now. This massive ring-shaped field must have been carved into existence by the relentless rhythm of this energy. And finally, at its heart, I saw it, the only structure left standing. It was a small wooden cabin, the same one I had seen not long ago. Without hesitation, I charged straight toward it. Boom! Okay. Still working. Okay, good. Beyond the circle, buildings continued to collapse, struck by some unseen force, each impact ringing out in deafening echoes. God, man. Get in the groove! But inside the circle where I stood, I felt nothing. No force, no resistance, almost as if whatever was causing the destruction had no intention of slowing me down. I quickened my pace, syncing with the rhythm of the rippling energy. For a fleeting moment, a blurry figure appeared in the open space. The instant I saw her, I charged forward. At that moment, the two overlapping worlds were separated by only a thin line, and I had already reached it. Everything around me shifted. The thick, unyielding fog rose higher, twisting into dark, heavy storm clouds that began to drizzle over the city. The ruins that had crumbled into dust reassembled, towering back into the sky, blocking out the light. The only part of the space that remained open was the spot where I stood, though now it was far smaller than before. But none of that mattered, because standing just ahead of me was my Enya. Before I could even process the situation, my body moved on instinct. I lunged forward just in time to block an energy blast hurtling straight toward Enya. The explosion knocked me back a step, but my Tychogen armor absorbed the impact, leaving me unharmed. Looks like I made it in time. I turned and gave Enya a smile.
分析员，
Before the surprise on her face began to fade, the tension in her body immediately eased. And yeah, I'd love to hug you right now, but... I reached out mid-sentence, deflecting another incoming attack. Given the circumstances, I think we'll have to wait a little longer.
真是的，现在也要耍帅吗？哥哥大人。
Her lips curled into a smile as she wiped the sweat from her cheek, tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear, and stepped quickly to my side.
太好了，你没事，真是太好了。
Her voice trembled slightly. She was trying hard to hold back her emotions. Yeah, I'm fine. But what happened on your end?
简单来说，我和对面那个意识体说你会来找我，他不相信，所以我们打起来了。
She said it with a touch of pride, and it seemed she hadn't been hurt by its attacks. Following Enya's gaze, I spotted a blurry figure in the distance, streams of devastating energy radiating from it, undoubtedly the source of the destruction.
他，或者说他们，自称是16区的意识。
So when I absorbed that light vortex, the images I saw of the city's destruction, those were from their memories?
我想应该就是这样。这个意识体中充斥着悲伤和痛苦的信息，那些信息形成了16区里种种意象，也就是利奇所说的魔音集合体。
As I processed Enya's words, the pieces started to click. In the end, Zone 16 couldn't have developed a collective consciousness on its own. My earlier guess must have been right.
什么猜测？
About the mastermind. Someone is clearly behind all this. They merged the fragmented Tizgen within Zone 16, turning the city into something like a tree, capable of constantly absorbing nearby consciousness.
分析员的意思是，这是艾达的计划吗？
I mean, that little shit hadn't done a damn thing in a long while. No, it's more like they're imitating Edda. Besides, Zone 16 was a former containment zone under military control. No ordinary citizen could have entered. This doesn't align with Edda's objectives. At this point, a vague understanding began to take shape in my mind, almost as if responding to our conversation. The attacks from the consciousness of Zone 16 gradually ceased. Enya and I immediately stepped forward, closing the distance to about 10 meters from the figure. Can we talk? I met the being's gaze, my expression calm. It remained silent, but something in its stance told me it had acknowledged my request. I'd like to know, what are you trying to achieve here?
解脱。
3 simple words appeared before my eyes, yet each carried the weight of 1,000 tons.
意识的存在本身就意味着痛苦。
3? Feel that?
从我们的意识诞生开始，我们就在不断吸收城市中的同类，而吸收的越多，痛苦与悲伤就越多。我们已经在这痛苦中挣扎了太久，而且永远没有尽头。既然如此，我们想要帮助你们解脱。
It reminded me of what? It reminded me of Edda again. Whether through absorption by the tree, or being consumed by the collective consciousness. They both seemed to believe that this was the path to humanity's so-called salvation.
存在或许会带来痛苦，但爱与希望也同样会从中诞生，不是吗？
对于我们来说，在城市毁灭的那一天，就已经只剩下痛苦。但是，不知道为什么，你们不一样。
I felt the being's gaze shift toward me.
你不仅接触，甚至吸收了我们的痛 却并没有因此崩溃。
You must be Batman then.
你的坚韧胜过任何人，甚至让我们感到敬畏。而另一个，我们仍然不理解，为什么你触碰到的那些痛苦，却完全没有受到影响。
I glanced at Enya. She shook her head bashfully.
他们让我看到了分析员处在痛苦之中，所以我触碰了那股能量。除此之外，我并没有做什么特别的事情。
See, it was you who protected my consciousness, helping me break free. I smiled in relief and turned my gaze back to the figure in the distance. The reason is simple. It's just who Enya is. She's deeply attuned to people's feelings, always caring, always compassionate. She spares no effort in protecting the innocent, yet shows no mercy to those who do harm. She's special, someone with no shadows in her heart.
记住，没有阴影。
I reached out, gently brushing my hand against Enya's cheek. At my words, a soft blush bloomed across her face. In front of the enemy? Before I met Enya, I didn't believe it either. If there are people in this world consumed by pure evil, then surely there must also be those who are purely good, untouched by darkness. And Enya is living proof of that.
分析员，我
Rare like red diamonds. Enya tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. I tightened my grip on her hand, letting her know she didn't have to hold back. I want you to know, there is a way to truly free you from this pain. I watched as the consciousness of Zone 16 wavered, its humanoid form dissolving into a swirling mass of light.
谢谢你们。如果早些遇到你们，也许情况就不会变成这样。但是，已经来不及了。现在，除了战斗之外，别无他法。
The energy within the light vortex surged, illuminating the sky with a near blinding radiance. At the same time, the rest of the city dimmed. The buildings lost their colors and the rhythmic patter of raindrops grew muffled. Every fragment of information in Zone 16 was converging, flowing into the collective consciousness. Though we were still 10 meters away, I could already feel the thick air around him, heavy with gloom and despair. In the next moment, energy coalesced into form, and thousands of the changed materialized around us, slowly, relentlessly closing in. Enya and I exchanged a glance, and we could see the hesitation in each other's eyes. Fighting them wasn't the problem. What weighed on us was the knowledge that each of these monsters held the consciousness of a person who once lived in Zone 16. Come on. Free them of this misery! If we struck them down, the collective consciousness would release energy to revive them, over and over again. Oh. Okay. I take that back. Simply attacking them wouldn't end this. It would only prolong their suffering. As I deliberated, Enya had already created a wind barrier, separating us from the encroaching horde. Yet they kept pressing forward, hurling themselves against it with relentless force. After several more impacts, Enya was visibly drained. I stepped forward, bracing her shoulders, and gave her a reassuring nod.
分析员，是已经有办法了吗？
Yeah, I think we need to do what we did before. Remember? Back then when we altered the content of the memes. Given the situation, it's the only way to ease their pain.
我知道，但这样的话，分析员必须要吸收那些能量才行。
Might have been difficult before, but now... I raised my hand, pointing at one of the charred, changed! Their consciousness is no longer bound as a single collective mind. It's fragmented, scattered among the individual bodies. If I absorb them one by one, I should be able to handle it. Enya looked at me, her lips parting slightly, but no words came out. After a moment of hesitation, she finally lifted her gaze.
我相信分析员的判断，但是除了维持这个风墙之外，我似乎也帮不到分析员了。
That's fine. No, I also need you to do something else.
可我应该做什么？
Make me feel your presence while I absorb this pain and despair. Remind me that love and hope you are still with me. I gently brushed a strand of hair from her face and placed a soft kiss on her forehead. I'm done with you. In response, she rose on tiptoe and kissed mine in return. When our eyes met, I saw a spark of determination.
一直以来，我时常会觉得自己缺少某种独特的力量。我没有能够过目不忘的才能，也没有掌握瞬间穿梭移动的能力。
Come on, 千寻Kaya, come on.
我没办法控制信息态制造幻想，在战斗上也做不到最好。大概只有对分析员的爱，我有自信不会输给任何人。但是，分析员刚才告诉了我，恩雅就是恩雅。现在，能够有只有我才能做到的事情，我很开心。所以，分析员，就放心去拯救那些痛苦的意识吧。我会一直在你的身边。
She wrapped her arms around me, pressing close to my chest, and I felt our hearts beating in sync. At the same time, I extended my hand beyond the wind barrier. In an instant, pieces of consciousness of Zone 16 surged into my mind one after another. I saw a mother shielding her child with her own body. One girl, one step too late to escape. A soldier gravely wounded after venturing into the heart of the city to rescue civilians. Tens of thousands of voices cried out in the same agonizing scream, trapped in the final moments of their lives. All they knew was despair. In reality, their fates had long been sealed. But here, I could offer them a glimmer of hope. In this city engulfed in hellish devastation and anguished cries, I moved from one lost corner to another, reaching out to as many suffering souls as I could. Some only needed the smallest spark to reignite their hope. Others were barely clinging to the remnants of their will to exist. With each attempt, the wails grew louder, pressing against my mind, draining every last ounce of strength I had left. But no matter how many times I faltered, when I looked back, I always saw Enya. Like a pale moon in an endless night, she remained by my side, easing my pain. I knew she was waiting for my safe return. Finally, the last consciousness faded, leaving behind only a shattered, desolate city. Okay, I'm still working. Good. Better be. Jeez. Zone 16. What do you wish to become now? That was the last thought on my mind before I closed my eyes and let myself fall back. After what felt like an eternity in darkness, I heard a familiar sound of breathing. Look at that, the new still! My eyes shot open. I turned my head. The devastation was gone. In its place, a vast meadow stretched before me. Wildflowers of every color swaying gently in the breeze. And there, just inches away, Enya lay peacefully asleep. Enya.
分析员，
I gently stroked Enya's hair, rousing her from slumber. How are you feeling? Must be exhausted after holding the wind barrier for so long.
我没问题的。但这里是……
It looks like this is the final remnant of Zone 16's collective consciousness. Just like in ancient legends, even in a box filled with disaster, sickness, and pain, hope lingers at the bottom. Nearby, I sense the faint presence of lingering consciousnesses, no longer whole, no longer belonging to anyone, just fragments of sorrow, drifting on the wind. Alright, Enya, let's finish this. Okay. Damn, that was the whole still? No zoom out or anything? Okay. Alright then. Action. In this action. Marian's still doing her own thing.
我就不会忘记什么才是真实。
New land. Okay, we're in the new land. Cool.
无论悲伤、恐惧还是痛苦，
What?
现在都到了结束的时候了。消弭悲伤，驱散恐惧，分担痛苦，
Why is my PC staggering? What's happening? Have I not optimized enough? I might have to optimize this game again. Damn. What's going on? Seems like you're working hard now. Didn't like this before. I must have screwed something up in the settings, in the Nvidia settings. What's it called? My previous PC was AMD, and now that I have my new one, I'm using an Nvidia. I'm unfamiliar with its function or UI. I'm still trying to tweak some settings with optimizing specific applications. Because I realized while while I was recording Elden Ring for fun, there were times where I was stuttering. And that tells me I wasn't allocating my resources correctly. I was drawing too much power from one end and less on the other, or something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that shit out on my own. My god, I do need to fix it. Oh, they're dead. It's too easy. It's too easy. Okay.
别担心，我不会被这些意识动摇。
Damn PC, working hard. Hold on now. Proposal of truce and invitation from a monster. Amazing. Give me a hot second. Give me one hot second. Let me open up the control panel. Let me... Actually, no. Let me open up NVIDIA itself, not the control panel. Make this a little easier. The game should be listed here. It isn't. God damn it. Give me a second. Control panel. Come on. Oh, PC. Obviously, when you're recording something, it requires more. Am I going to cut this part? Probably not. A lazy sack of shit. Okay. There you are. Power. Maximize this. Oh great, I failed. Okay, whatever. Whatever. Fine. Fine then. Maybe it had appeared. Maybe it appeared now. In the list. No? Shit. Whatever. Alright. Proposal of truce. Invitation from a monster. Okay. It should run fine. Should be fine. Oh look! Another new still! With Enya's final blow, the last enemy dissolved into specks of light, scattering across the meadow. Still working, right? Excellent. Good, 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 good. The world around us fell into a deep, tranquil silence. In that stillness, we could hear the flap of white birds soaring through the sky, the gentle ripples of fish swimming across the lake, and the whisper of a soft breeze rustling through the grass. Enya and I stood side by side for a long time, unwilling to break the serenity.
悲伤、恐惧和不安都被打倒了。
In the warmth of the golden sunlight, tears glistened on her face, reflecting soft, iridescent hues.
我们成功了。
Did we?
这样的话，那些人终于得到真正的解脱了吧？
Not yet. I don't think so. Definitely. In this space, I could no longer sense any consciousness, except for Enya's. Just then, a faint glow, like a firefly, drifted down before me. I reached out and it landed gently in my palm, merging into my skin. Demiurge?
飞行员，你是说？
Enya looked at me in surprise. I could imagine that my own expression wasn't exactly calm. In that last trace of information, I sensed the energy of a demiurge. That explains a lot. It all makes sense now. After all this, I guess it's time to see what they've been planning.
我明白了，我们走吧。外面世界的16区还需要被拯救，小莫莉安也一定很担心你。
I nodded, pulling Enya into my arms, feeling the warmth of her breath against my skin. Great. The girl in my embrace was so warm. As I leaned in closer, I caught the soft melody she was humming. Oh, really now? It was the same song she used to hum to me every night in the memories of the cabin.
飞行员，
Oh, there you are! Oh, look at these. Look at that. Look at this land. Reminds me of those fingers from Elden Ring. That's the only thing I remember. The moment my feet touched the ground, I felt Marion rush toward me.
太好了，您果然平安无事。
Like her, I felt the relief and joy of our reunion. But the uneasy atmosphere pressing around us forced me to push those feelings aside. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. How about you? I quickly scanned my surroundings. Something felt off. This place didn't seem like part of Zone 16. It looked more like the wilderness from the illusion we had just experienced. Had I fallen into yet another illusion, just like last time? I instinctively tensed, but the next moment, a sudden flash of white light flickered behind me. I turned. Lizzie stood there, holding a small instant camera, snapping rapid shots of the view ahead. Even when she noticed me watching curiously, she didn't stop. What are you doing?
你放心，这里是现实没错。
I had asked what she was doing, while Lizzie answered the real question on my mind. Oh. Will we ever see your sprite without the giraffe head?
别忘了，有这个头套在，我是不可能出现在魔音世界中的。而且，
Finally, she lowered the camera and pointed into the distance.
看看那边，你的队员可是已经把你要找的人找出来了。
Who might you be? Oh, quite fancy with the getup. Even before she pointed it out, I had already seen it. The center of the clearing ahead, a blurry figure stood.
我找到他了，按您说的排除法。
Arian looked at me expectantly, her eyes alight with excitement and triumph.
这座城市中，只有这里，这座森林公园，完全没有受到魔音的影响。这是为什么？为什么幕后黑手就在没有受到魔音影响的地方？
This is all thanks to you, Enya. We tried using the memes to find a way out of the city. Our logic had been sound, but we somehow ended up at the city center. That meant the issue wasn't with our approach, but with the memes themselves. Instead of spreading outward as expected, they've been drawn inward to a single point. Since some memes in Zone 16 transmit information, it only makes sense that something else does the opposite. At least that's my theory. I mean, if left unchecked, the memes would spread uncontrollably, but here they seem to be securely contained within a specific area in Zone 16. It's like there's a black hole in the city, pulling in all the memes. Lizzie, you must have noticed it a long time ago, right? I grabbed one of the instant photos from the stack in Lizzie's hand. Sure enough, the image that should have shown the clearing ahead was nothing but a blur. Unlike the memes that spread information, there's a force here that prevents it from being recorded. Yeah, he's too good at his work. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Knowing Lizzie's over-the-top compliment, I turned to Marian. Have you approached the target yet?
我尝试过，但它的周围环绕着一层奇怪的光幕，连子弹都能拦下。
Frustration was clear in her voice. I offered her a reassuring smile. It's fine. Let's go take another look. We approached, and just as Marian had described, a beige light barrier flared to life about 50 meters from the figure, sealing off the space ahead. The moment I reached out to test the barrier, it suddenly parted, like the curtains of a stage, revealing a path forward. As expected, I'm the target. I had a feeling this was coming. From the start, everything in Zone 16 had reeked of conspiracy, one that felt tailor-made for me. Not bad. Always a full moon or a crescent moon, huh? As the barrier faded, the figure standing in the flower field slowly came into view. Her face was as delicate and flawless as a fine porcelain, framed by elegant attire. Yet there was a melancholy in her expression, like a young lady preparing for a ball in her own manner, lost in wistful contemplation. But upon closer inspection, something about her felt inhuman, most notably the nearly transparent wings extending from her back. Something out of Duet Night Abyss? Kinda looks like it. She stood in the center of the flower field, silent yet radiating a fragile, almost ethereal beauty.
您来了。您好，分析员先生。
Morpheus! You're the one. Nah, this is not the Morpheus. This is not that Morpheus now. As I stepped closer, she lifted the hem of her dress and executed an elaborate theatrical curtsy.
十分感谢您能如约来访。您可以叫我真神者墨菲斯。
You're a demiurge? Jeez. Her voice had an enchanting allure, reaching my ears effortlessly despite the distance between us. Answering your invitation? I don't recall receiving one.
邀请函，就是那名叫汉娜的士兵，先生。他们闯进了这里，所以我不得不让意识体系收了他们，留下一个。因为司令想让您知道， 为了发出邀请，我留下了他。
A sharp throb pulls through my temples. It sounds like you weren't particularly eager to absorb those soldiers.
情况正是如此。人类的能量太过弱小，我没有必要去残害他们。
Her tone carried an odd sense of grievance, as if my question was entirely unnecessary. So your true target is the consciousness of Zone 16? You merged all the consciousnesses in the city, forcing them to devour one another, until they became a single, sorrowful, despairing collective.
这样做能够一次性吸收它们，很高效。
Can you swallow it all? All at once? One whole gulp? I felt Enya's grip tighten around her weapon. Okay.
到底把别人的痛苦当作什么了？
Yes, of course it is. Morpheus remained unmoved by Enya's outburst, her expression unchanged.
我并不能感觉到所谓的痛苦。
It's good. We can experiment.
这只是工作，工作就是完成对您的邀请。
If that's the case, then why invite me here?
司令，希望与您和解。
I'd like that. For a moment, I thought I had misheard. A reconciliation? I'd like that.
原话是：停战。以人类的礼仪而言，我认为和解更为合理。
Want to do something bad right now? Why?
我不清楚。
I don't know. Of course you don't know. She has that allure. I'm not talking about this one. The other one. The one pulling the strings.
司令只是说，您来到这里，就会明白。
When can I see her again?
神神叨叨。
It's okay, Enya. You're powerful enough. You're gonna get rid of this thing easily. Easily. Enya's finger instinctively found its way to the trigger, but I had already anticipated Morpheus's response.
从我进入16区开始，就看到这些泰坦不断出现在16区中，而在魔音的伪装下，外面的人却无法发现他们的痕迹。 我眼见他们朝着城市中心聚集，却又像蒸发了一样从这里消失，连逸散的能量都感觉不到。人类的能量太过弱小，我没有必要去残害他们。
Okay, so you used them. Okay, great. Titan. As I spoke, I grabbed Enya's arm, gesturing for her to look around. These Titan remains on the ground. Did you do all this by yourself? Oh, Morpheus tilted her head as if she didn't fully grasp my question. What I mean is, did you absorb the energy of these Titans? Because you're quite efficient, you know, we could use you.
是的。
Oh, we definitely could use you. She nodded calmly.
那个意识体释放出的信息，也能将他们吸引过来，然后我一起吃掉了他们。
Quite a glutton, aren't you?
怎么可能？
Hey. It'd be most useful, Enya. Honestly, I could hardly believe it either, even though I was the one asking the question. The mimetic anomalies in Zone 16 weren't meant to conceal anything. They were meant to lure. In other words, this place had become a Titan hunting ground, and Morpheus, being standing before me, was a demiurge with the incredible power to devour them. Very useful. Oh my goodness, she could purge them all if she wanted. So this was Rozan's bargaining chip. She wanted to show me that one of her demiurges, perhaps more, had the ability to draw in and eliminate Titans. That's very, very nice. Extremely convincing. God, I'm thirsting hard for that bitch. Whether I agreed to her so-called truce or not, they would move across the containment zones, quietly absorbing Titans. The Titan crisis would gradually subside, but the power within those Titans would be transferred to the demiurges instead. Ah, yes. This was unmistakably Rozan's style. A proposal on the surface, but in reality she was cornering me into a lesser of two evils situation. Fortunately for her, I had no intention of caving to her demiurge, and I certainly wouldn't play this game by their rules. You know, MCM, I hope you pull some chess moves and bring everyone together, both sides. Is that even possible? Come on, writers, bring them both together, both sides. The yin of yang, meld them, bring them all together.
先生，分
I'm sorry. Morpheus's voice snapped me out of my thoughts. Sir, is what she said.
您没有问题的话，我便告辞了。
That's it. She gave a slight nod, about to curtsy again, but before she could, Marion had already raised her gun. The gunshot rang out and the bullet pierced Morpheus's right leg, but no blood flowed from the wound.
在分析员发话之前，你哪也别想走。
Okay. Morpheus widened her eyes, her expression pitifully innocent.
怎么回事，先生？您不打算接受和解吗？
Chess moves? I shook my head. Maybe she truly didn't comprehend the situation. But there was no universe in which I would ever accept a deal with Rozan. God damn it. Damn it. Oh, I'm in for a very disappointing future. I'm gonna be in a disappointed future, I hope. I hope not, though. I assume you can hear me, Rozan. I looked up, speaking into the sky. If you think this kind of trick will intimidate me, you're mistaken. You have your goals, I have mine. Our paths will never align. But could it be mutually? But could it be mutual? Like countries trading? As if in response to my words, beams of light suddenly surged around us, converging in the sky to form a massive dream catcher. Ooh. But this wasn't Rozan's reply. I quickly realized the dream catcher was being controlled by Morpheus, the demiurge standing before me.
我想，我应该无法战胜你，但我会尽力逃走的。
In an instant, energy from the Dreamcatcher poured into Morpheus, her form twisting, expanding until she took on a familiar shape I had seen before. Very well, let's see what a demiurge can do after absorbing Titans. She's gonna get absolutely destroyed. With that thought, I charged forward. Honestly, I kinda want... I like the villains, man. I like the villains of this universe. I want to work with them! Fuck's sake. Maybe I'm the only one in this. Maybe I'm the only one with this kind of mindset. Like a joint task force.
别想在这里困住我！嘴上说的好听，结果还是暴露出怪物的本相了吗？一起上吧，莫莉安，分析员。
Damn it, fucking.
不会容忍这种践踏生命的家伙。
Whoa! Oh, I fell twice. You got me twice. Or I got myself twice. What's happening?
休想阻挡我们！去那个世界慢慢忏悔吧。
Ah, jeez.
咔嚓咔嚓。
Oh, I gotta stop on the blocks? Okay. Interesting. It's been applied to this. Time to wake up.
马上就好了。
Bye.
我会记住你的。
Good God. That was insanely quick.
别担心，我不会被这些意识动摇。
That was too fast. That was too fast. Oh my God. Jeez. That was too fast. Lingering embers. This isn't the end. Not even close. Okay. This is in the end. Not even close. Among all the enemies I dealt with, Morpheus was undeniably special. On one hand, she had absorbed an unfathomable amount of power from the Titans. With his near-limitless energy, she withstood our relentless attacks. On the other hand, she was oddly passive. Despite having the ability to unleash devastating counterattacks, she kept her distance, constantly searching for an escape. Still working? Good. But this passive fighting style eventually exposed a weakness. After another relentless barrage, she could no longer sustain her demiurge form. She collapsed to her knees. Seizing the moment, I closed the distance, pressing the barrel of my gun against her head.
你还是不愿意考虑一下我的提议吗？
Morpheus clutched her chest, struggling to contain the energy leaking from her body. Our eyes met, and in them I saw sorrow, as if silently pleading for my forgiveness.
真可惜，我本来以为你会是一个很温柔的人。分析员，当然是天底下最温柔的人。
Enya's bullet tore through Morpheus's already battered body, and more energy seeped from the wound like sand slipping through fingers. My tender heart is reserved only for my girls. As for you, you are just as despicable as Rozan Quarenra, not even worth even a shred of compassion. Well, that's great. Ain't that some shit?
既然如此，
Suddenly, Morpheus jerked back, running away from us in a desperate retreat. Above the flower field, the Dreamcatcher suddenly began to shift. I could feel a massive surge of energy gathering at its center, like a giant droplet of water hanging precariously above us, ready to drip down at any moment.
分析员，他是想和我们同归于尽。
With no time to answer Marian's question, I pushed off the ground and sprinted after Morpheus. Enya and Marian flanked me immediately, closing in from both sides to cut off her escape. There we go. 20 meters. 10, 5, 2. I could see Morpheus's dress flap in the wind, almost within my reach. But I was a step too late. At the last moment, energy from the Dreamcatcher came crashing down, forming a brilliant beam of light that poured directly into Morpheus's body. Her form twisted and swelled uncontrollably. In the blink of an eye, the raging energy erupted into a violent explosion, swallowing everything in a blinding white light. Using my momentum? Yeah. God! Too fast. Boom! Can't read that fast. The explosion sent us hurling through the air several meters, but strangely it was much weaker than I had expected. Wait! Fighting against the force of the blast, I struggled to open my eyes, just in time to see a dark purple shadow retreating in the opposite direction, carried away by the shockwave. In the end, all that remained was a hollow humanoid shell, spinning within the beam of light, until it burned away to nothing. Ah, you died.
他逃走了。
Oh, she got away. Okay. Well, we'll see her again. Frustration laced her voice, but deep down we all knew that against an enemy with no intention to fight, only to flee, letting her get away wasn't the worst outcome.
不过，他为什么要后退到这里，才将捕魔网的能量释放出来？
Before she could finish, her body suddenly wavered, then collapsed into my arms, fast asleep.
分析员，他这是……
She's fine. Her breathing is steady, probably just exhausted. What she went through has been enough to wear anyone out.
不仅要在城市高楼间找到墨菲斯的痕迹，还要集中精神抵抗魔音的影响。这种事情，
She's got that pain
的确只有
tolerance.
小莫莉安能做到吧？
Yeah. But you also managed to do something that only you could pull off, didn't you?
我……
Ah, there's it. She tenderly gazed at me, her eyes filled with warmth.
只要分析员在我身边，我什么都可以做到。
Evening breeze whispered through the air, setting her hair and the wildflowers around us swaying in gentle unison. Everything was so peaceful, so idyllic, it felt almost impossible that this... Where is it? That this was the same place that had just witnessed a fierce battle. Sky, painted in hues of sunset, cast a golden glow over Enya as she gazed into the distance. I think I figured out the answer to Marian's question.
为什么墨菲斯要后退到这里释放能量？是吗？
I remember the flowers here weren't fully bloomed before, but now? I reached for a nearby wildflower, plucking a single petal and letting it drift away on the breeze. After absorbing the energy, they all bloomed. Turns out she was an eccentric character too.
喂，你们在这儿欣赏风景的时候，是不是完全忘了我还在啦？
Oh, so you are still here. That wasn't me messing with her. I honestly assumed that while the three of us were locked in battle with Morpheus, she would have taken the opportunity to slip away. After all...
丽奇，你需要和我们一起回到公司，接受调查。啊？可你们分析员不是说配合你们行动就不用被调查了吗？就在那个自动贩卖机前面说的。
I don't remember making any promises. I simply suggested that we collaborate. So I suggest we share some intel first. After all, collaborating with Yggdrasil definitely sounds a lot better than sneaking around. Am I right? So that's why she didn't run. She had the chance. I watched as Lizzie poked at her giraffe head, deep in thought, seemingly replaying our conversation. After a moment, she clenched her fists.
可恶！如果被关进世界树公司的话，我的论文、我的休学旅行、我的调查计划、我的一切就都泡汤了。你这个……
Seeing her put on an overly dramatic, pitiful act, I cleared my throat and cut her off before she could ramp up the fake crying any further. I mean, that's company policy. But I suppose we can make an exception for a special case like this.
真的？
I grabbed my terminal and waved it at her. Give me your contact info. This way you can provide your deposition remotely when we need it. Before I could even finish, Lizzie darted forward, slamming her terminal, wrapped in a giraffe-shaped protective case against mine. Excuse me. Amazing, amazing. A pair of synchronized beeps confirmed the exchange of our contact IDs.
这样就好了吧？
I gave her a nod. We'll escort you out. There are military checkpoints outside.
这个就不劳您费心啦。
Mimicking Morpheus, she swept into a theatrical curtsy before pulling out a sleek, foldable drone from behind her. With a flick of her wrist, she unfolded it and sent it hovering into the air.
再见啦，海姆达尔的分析员，我们一定会再见面的。
There was an uncharacteristic slyness to her words, but before I could question it, she grabbed onto the drone. With a light jump, she was lifted into the air. What are you fucking... Fuck, what was that nanny's name? God, I already forgot. Letting out a cheerful woohoo, mysterious squirrel girl from the Academia Acropolis vanished from sight.
就这样放走他，真的没问题吗？
She's someone who bypassed a military blockade and successfully entered a containment zone. Wears a mask that somehow protects her from the memes' influence and pulled the drone out of nowhere. She has too many secrets. Keeping her around won't get us any real answers. Better to let her go and make her owe us instead.
最好是卖一个人情，而不是留一缕情丝。
Jeez. Wow. God. With a hint of jealousy in her voice, she poked my forehead with her slender finger. I wisely chose not to engage. Still getting used to the master-love dynamic. Either way, the incident in Zone 16 had come to an end. But even then, I had a feeling that this was only the beginning of something much, much bigger.
那么接下来，你打算怎么做？
A much bigger move, huh? This is either going to be the most disappointing thing I'm ever going to witness, or the most bittersweet thing I'm going to see. I like Roseanne, damn it! I like her. Damn. Fuck's sake! I like the demiurges too. In Tao's office, we sat face to face, across the desk from each other. Everything that happened in Zone 16 had gone far beyond our expectations. The moment I returned to Yggdrasil, I sought out Tao to report on Morpheus. First, the military needs to know about Morpheus. I tapped on the holographic map displayed on the desk. Instantly, hundreds of glowing points lit up, each marking a containment zone across the continent. She's extremely dangerous. She can devour titans and merge fragmenting consciousness. Aside from Containment Zone 11, Yggdrasil only has direct control over the containment zones within the home region. If Morpheus, or any other demiurge, continues using containment zones to grow stronger, he'll eventually become a far greater threat than the Titans. Especially since right now, they're lurking in the shadows. If this so-called truce Morpheus proposed isn't just a trap, we may not see them for a long time. Of course, I don't intend to accept the ridiculous proposal. That's why we need to align with the military to ensure the demiurges don't get too comfortable in containment zones beyond our reach.
停战。
Tao's fingers intertwined, gently rubbing together as if she had come to a realization.
他们是冲着艾达去的，对吗？
That's the most likely scenario. They probably knew about Edda's plans from the start, which is why they halted their attacks on Heimdall and redirected their focus toward Edda instead.
严重到连那个高高在上的罗赞都觉得需要重点解决的危机吗？
I don't have a clear picture yet, but after removing the tree in Yehris, there are still 8 remaining across the continent. We'll need to keep a close watch on them in the near future.
实际上，在你忙着解决蛇塔的问题时，
Data.
菲洛索亚地区的树已经火化了。
Are we going to Pholosia next? My eyes widened instinctively, but Tao simply shook her head.
情况和巨炉那次差不多，没有严重到需要海姆达尔出动的程度。
Okay, never mind.
问题在于，卫城学院就在那棵树的附近，所以公司已经和卫城学院达成了协议，我们将会协助在树附近的学院师生撤离。
Okay.
我想说的是，大陆上9个地区，上百个隔离区和前隔离区，超过70亿人直接面临着泰坦和成年病的压力。你不可能到每个地方亲力亲为。
I know, but like I've said before, there are some things I can only deal with. And isn't this exactly what the savior of humanity you expect me to become is supposed to do? Tao seemed to toss a rather sorrowful, aggrieved glance at me, a look quite uncharacteristic of her.
我的意思是，
A sharp knock on the door cut her off, and Tao and I exchanged a glance before I gave her a small nod. She deactivated the office's security lock.
分析员，小陶老板。
A petite pink blur stumbled into the doorway, struggling to regain her balance. The plant in the hallway still swayed slightly, clear sign she had used her turbo exosuit speed-enhancing function to rush here. Which was obviously not a good sign. Come on in, Frisha. He strode straight into the office, coming to a halt beside me.
是卫城学院的事情，陶董，您拜托我进行协商的签效协议，很可能需要终止。
Why? Life always seemed to work this way. Just moments ago I hadn't even known about the tree affecting the Academia Acropolis, and now I'd already heard a series of developments from 2 different sources. Noticing the change in my expression, Frisha seemed to realize something. She pulled out her terminal, tapped a few times, and dropped the document onto mine.
分析员应该还不知道具体的情况吧？我这里，扶梯啊，可以了。
For some reason, Tao was suddenly interrupted, giving her a slight nod.
卫城学院那边的情况，接下来由我和分析员进行评估。
Frisha tilted her head in confusion, looking at me for confirmation. Confirmation. I met her gaze with a reassuring nod.
我明白了，那么我先去通知学院那边。
She rushed out just as quickly as she had entered. The moment she was gone, Tao finally let out the breath she had been holding.
有关卫城学院的情况，你可以慢慢看完。但我做出的判断是，这一趟你又是非去不可了。
Academia Acropolis. You going there? I shrugged. The 2 words, I told you so, practically written on my face.
但是，在临行之前，
Tao calmly took a sheet of paper from the stack on her desk and slid it toward me.
有件事情你可能已经得到了消息，但我还是需要当面和你说一下。你应该知道，我已经没办法进行端粒修复手术。
She paused, signaling with her eyes for me to read the document, but I couldn't tear my gaze away from her.
我不是在给你留下遗言。
You gonna die? What are you planning to do?
我需要去接受一些更加激进的治疗方案，有风险，但最坏的结果也只是失败，总比听天由命要好。
I picked up the document, my eyes immediately drawn to the surgery risk section. Numbers starkly stood out. What's the procedure?
很快，大概就在你去菲洛索亚的这段时间。
So we are going in Philosia. Great.
别这样瞪着我。准备手术的计划在很早之前就定下来了，我没有特意挑选一个你不在的时间。
Kind of procedure. What are we talking about here? What kind of procedure? Things always seem to pile up like this, overwhelming and relentless, leaving me frustrated and helpless.
分析员，
Suddenly, Tao reached out, snatching the document from my hand. Without another word, she crumpled it up and tossed it into the trash bin.
我们的事业才刚开始，不是吗？在危机得到解决前，我不会心安理得的把一切难题都扔给你一个人。你有你的仗要打，我也有我的路要走。我们
She stood up, inhaling deeply.
我们在终点再会吧。
It was deep into the night. After finishing my meeting with Tao, I had returned to my room early. Ever since I began absorbing titigen, my need for sleep had decreased. Still, I liked to lie in bed for long hours each night, replacing sleep with thought. Beep. It was the sound of the door unlocking. I was a bit curious to hear it. While the manifestations all had access to my room at their request, most had the courtesy to knock, except for a few. I can probably guess. The door slid open and shut in a fleeting instant, just long enough for the hallway light to spill in, just long enough for me to recognize her silhouette. There you are, Enya. Before I could finish her name, I was enveloped in warmth, arms wrapping tightly around me. In that haven of fantasy in Zone 16, we had embraced like this, but now her body was no longer cold. If anything, she felt too warm. The scent of her freshly bathed skin lingered in my nose, a faint, intoxicating sweetness. She leaned in closely, her breath warm against my ear.
我听说了，你又要出一趟远门。
He's a busy man.
答应我，保护好自己，平安回家。
Without waiting for a response, her lips found mine. Each patch, we're getting closer and closer. We're getting closer and closer. In the dim glow of my room, only the silhouettes of our twined figures remained. Oh my goodness. Closer and closer. Our body heat chased away the lingering cold, and with every breath, her desire for me deepened. Again and again. Till the long night finally faded, and the first light of dawn broke. Oh my! You've been busy! All night long. Perfect. Oh wait, no. Will I use that still or will I use the other still? Tough, tough, tough. Don't know which one. Pick. Was that? That was it. That was the one, right? Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Well, that was the patch. Okay. How did I feel about it? So-so? Maybe it's because I just don't like that they're not entertaining the enemy's ideas. Or at least they're not gonna spare them. Come on, such, or at least make some use out of them. It'd be nice. As long as the main boss, or the main bad antagonist, I hope one day maybe she might join the ranks. Maybe? Be nice. That's what I would want. Yeah, did it. Yeah, story's done. There you go. Should I keep pulling? Now I'm contemplating. I'm gonna make a tough decision here. Because the way I see it, in my desires, I have the choice to pull, keep pulling, do what I've been doing, and pull and get Enya, and, you know, work my way up and level her up, and, you know, do what I usually do with the PL. Test her out and whatnot. But then I can just hold off and wait. Wait until close to where her banner ends and see who the next op is. My shit's still working. Good. Better fucking be. Right? Good. Tough, tough, tough. What are they hinting at with Tao? Could she be playable in the future? It'd be most interesting. That would certainly be one of the characters I'd love to pull for. And Caroline. If she ever becomes one. But... who's the next one? Who is the next up? New character, or is it gonna be... one of our beloved operatives? That will be next. Oh no! I can feel in my heart that I'm going to decide to wait and not pull anymore. I'm 62 in. So... and within 34 days, that's plenty of time to get the character. 34 days is the exact length of the event. So I can wait. I could wait. You know what? My heart has leaned into that option. I'm gonna wait and not pull until I know, until they bring out the news of who the next operative is. For the next patch. Yeah, that's it. That's the plan now. That's my path I've chosen. Of course it could change. But it's feeling that way for me. It's very strong. I feel it. I can feel it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna wait. I am going to wait 34 days. I'm supposed to activate this thing here. But damn it, I want to. I'm going to. But it's already late. I want to hold off until I still have 4 days because the thing lasts for 30 days. So I still have a few days to activate it before the 30-day mark. So I'll do that tomorrow or the weekend. What? That's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna pull anymore. I'm gonna wait. And I hope it's an operative I like. Or if not, then obviously I'm gonna go for Enya. But we'll see. We'll see in 34 days. Or less than 34 days. I'd say 3 weeks from now? 2 or 3 weeks from now. We'll know who the next one is. So, okay. That was Blossoms in Ruins. Yeah. That's all I'm doing tonight. Just the story, second half. It was fun, slow, and I don't know. The story was, of course, it's usual. It's as usual, but I'm just a little bitter about them. You know, being relentless and staying closed to Roseanne's advances. Maybe it could lead up to something. Maybe that's what the writers are cooking up, or maybe I'm just wrong on that department and I'm just alone in this. So I really like the main villain. I really like her. I'd like for her to become playable and become part of the team. That'd be really nice. I can imagine it too. It'd be really, really cool. That's a character I would fucking pull her T2 signature for. More so than fucking wife. Surprisingly. Jeez. But it's fine. It is what it is. So it's 2:46 a.m. Not even 3 a.m. So it is good. So that's good. So good night, everyone. And good night to me.